The new research from Weill Cornell Medicine that links linoleic acid, a fatty acid found in common cooking oils, to the progression of aggressive breast cancer is, at best, deeply unsettling and, at worst, a potential wake-up call for how we approach dietary fats in modern society. Although some experts urge caution in interpreting the findings too dramatically, the underlying implications are hard to ignore. The study provides a clear molecular pathway, showing how linoleic acid activates a tumor growth mechanism in triple-negative breast cancer cells, which has notoriously limited treatment options and disproportionately poor outcomes. While the data so far has been limited to animal models and tissue samples, the biological plausibility and supporting evidence from human blood samples create a real cause for concern. The risk is not merely theoretical. It may already be playing out in people's bodies every day, silently and systemically. What makes this particularly alarming is the ubiquity of linoleic acid in the modern diet. Found in soybean, corn, safflower, and sunflower oils, linoleic acid is a staple in everything from salad dressings to snacks to frozen meals. It's a dietary building block for most processed and ultra-processed foods. And unlike essential nutrients that the body regulates tightly, linoleic acid can accumulate and be stored in body fat over time, where it may remain active for years. Its pervasiveness makes it difficult to avoid, even for those who attempt to eat clean. The Western diet doesn't just include linoleic acid, it's saturated with it. This isn't merely about one study linking a fatty acid to a specific cancer pathway. It speaks to a broader failure in nutritional policy and food regulation. For decades, seed oils have been promoted as healthy alternatives to saturated fats. Public health campaigns and food industry interests pushed vegetable oils as heart-healthy, citing reductions in LDL cholesterol as a primary benefit. But this narrow focus ignored the larger picture, especially how these fats behave under heat and in the body over time. The intense industrial processing these oils undergo, refining, bleaching, deodorizing, and heating, introduces a host of oxidized lipid byproducts, many of which are poorly studied but suspected to be harmful. Moreover, the heavy imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3 fats in most modern diets likely exacerbates systemic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a major risk factor for a variety of conditions, including cancer, heart disease, metabolic dysfunction, and neurological decline. While omega-6 fats like linoleic acid are technically essential, the levels consumed today, often 10 to 20 times what humans would have consumed before industrialized food, push the body into a pro-inflammatory state. This is not just about a specific cancer subtype. It's about a broad biological terrain being altered by long-term overexposure to a particular type of fat that our bodies were never meant to metabolize in such massive quantities. The troubling part is that much of the general public has no idea. Labels don't warn consumers that oils may promote tumor growth in certain circumstances. The food industry continues to defend these ingredients, often citing outdated or overly generalized nutritional studies. And while health authorities still maintain that seed oils are safe in moderation, the definition of moderation is now deeply distorted. When nearly every packaged or restaurant food contains seed oils, moderation can quickly become chronic overconsumption. To make matters worse, this isn't just a question of cancer risk. Other research has linked excessive linoleic acid consumption to obesity, insulin resistance, liver dysfunction, and increased oxidative stress. These conditions create fertile ground for disease at every level, not just cancer. And yet, the conversation in mainstream nutrition continues to tread lightly around the topic, often citing the essential nature of linoleic acid while failing to acknowledge how our actual dietary patterns have grossly overcorrected in its favor. The study also underscores the inadequacy of broad nutritional epidemiology that tends to smooth over critical details. Meta-analyses that show no association between linoleic acid and overall breast cancer risk may miss the mark by failing to look at specific cancer subtypes like triple-negative breast cancer. This is a form of cancer that disproportionately affects younger women and those with certain genetic profiles, and it often presents with more aggressive features and limited therapeutic targets. In such a high-stakes context, even a modest dietary factor that fuels tumor progression could have devastating consequences. That's not alarmism. That's a rational assessment of emerging scientific data. Some researchers and commentators urge the public not to panic. That's fair, but it doesn't mean ignoring or downplaying real red flags. People deserve honest, contextual information, not overly cautious messaging that risks burying significant findings beneath the usual calls for balance. The truth is, for individuals with a family history of breast cancer, or those already dealing with chronic inflammation or obesity, continuing to consume high amounts of seed oils may not be benign. It might actually be dangerous. There's a pressing need for public health messaging to catch up with science that's already revealing gaps in the conventional nutritional dogma. The food system has dramatically changed in just a few generations, and the consequences of mass seeding our diets with cheap, highly processed oils are only beginning to unfold. Until more definitive human clinical data is available, which may take years or even decades. The most responsible approach is not denial or blind optimism, but caution, scrutiny, and informed reduction. The shift doesn't have to be radical. Swapping out seed oils for lower linoleic alternatives like extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, and avoiding ultra-processed foods when possible, are meaningful steps anyone can take. Prioritizing whole foods, increasing intake of omega-3 rich items like fish and flaxseed, and reducing reliance on industrially processed fats might not only support cancer prevention. It may help mitigate a wide range of chronic diseases that now dominate modern life. In a landscape where food choices are heavily driven by convenience, cost, and misinformation, small shifts in awareness can drive large changes in public health. But that shift starts with honest conversations about risks, even when the evidence is uncomfortable. The time has come to question the safety of seed oils not just theoretically, but practically, with serious attention paid to what the science is really telling us and what it's warning us to reconsider.